Yes.
Bogdanov, he did it.
He bought.
He went all in.
Dumpy. No! No!
You heard it here first. Bitcoin is going to zero. When it comes out, zero.
Just hodl, bro.
Welcome to the TGH podcast. Today we've got Jonah from METIS. He's the CMO. Great to have you here today, Jonah. How are you?
Awesome, man. It's great to be here.
You sound really enthusiastic. We love that over at the Gem Hunters. We love having enthusiastic guests on the TGH.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about this space. Much respect to smart people. But you know what? Sometimes smart people, it's not that outgoing. Let me tell you, I'm going to bring the noise. I'm going to bring the pain. And perhaps I'm not that smart a person, but smart enough to be on the show. So we'll make it work. Not to worry.
I love
Absolutely love this guy already.
I was going to say, I love it already.
So to kick this off, we all know that METIS is a layer 2 solution for Ethereum that is utilizing optimistic rollups. But to help us all understand what exactly a layer 2 solution is and what optimistic rollups are, could you give us a brief understanding of that and what you guys have been doing over at METIS?
Absolutely. So when we started our company, which was about 3 years ago, actually, I'm going to give you a little origin story. Not too long, but a fun little story. So there were two women. Stories are great. I like to spin a good yarn. Two women named Elena and Natalia were lifelong friends, and they were living in Toronto, and their friends would come up to them in 2015 and say, hey, what's Bitcoin? What's blockchain? I don't understand. So they'd go have coffee. And then that coffee became meetups. And then the meetups started spreading around the world until it reached 56 countries and became known as Crypto Chicks, which is one of the largest blockchain advocacy groups and nonprofits in the entire world. So out of Crypto Chicks became this very large ecosystem of developers who started showing up and all that stuff. And what ended up happening is Elena got together with two gentlemen named Yuan and Kevin, and they formed a company called METIS. And later on, by the way, Natalia would go on to join the company as well. If you're listening to this, I'm not going to go over the meme aspect of who Natalia is or who she's related to. You could probably figure it out. You can also Google it. We choose not to emphasize it, but you guys can go nuts. Anyway, so they formed this company called METIS, and they say, okay, we want to have the same idea, blockchain for the people. It's easy. It's accessible. How are we going to do it? And they realize, well, Ethereum is the king, but Ethereum is great at security and decentralization, but whiffs royally on scalability. So we're going to scale Ethereum. So basically, exactly. So basically what METIS does is it takes all of these transactions, 100, 1,000, whatever, rolls them into a ball and throws it out the window. And by throwing it out the window that way, what ends up happening is instead of it costing like $100 or $200 per transaction, it's about $2, which is really nice. And at the end of March, transactions will drop to about roughly 25 cents with the launch of our new storage layer. Wow. So that's basically what we do. That's what we scale. That's the simple version. There's more details, but that's the basics.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
And yeah, it is incredible how, if you look at the cost of the fees at the moment on the Ethereum blockchain, it is absolutely, well, actually, they're quite cheap at the moment.
Ironically.
Yeah, ironically. But
$20 swap is cheap.
That's right.
They were like $200 just a few months ago. They were $200, which is absolutely insane when you think
and it's not fair to regular people, right? I mean, the whole thing is, yes, there are whales and that's all lovely, but it should be easy enough that your grandma can be able to do it, and it should be cheap enough that your college roommate who's broke and all his money's, wrapped up in weed and pizza, he can still find a way to swap. That's what you want. So that's what we do.
In there. Yeah. When you're living on Top Ramen, $100 a swap, that's a lot of money, man.
Oh, Top Ramen, look how fancy you are. It was only bottom ramen for me, man.
Oh, the Top Ramen.
I can't imagine starting crypto now and as a new trader with like a couple of $100. You'd spend that on fees straight away.
Yeah. It creates a big barrier, and I think it can squelch innovation too. It's not great for users, But even for devs, you want to deploy a smart contract that costs you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. It's difficult. So basically what METIS, depending on how you say it, we're EVM equivalent, which basically means we're very, very easy to deploy on as well as to use. So if we're trying to partner with whoever, Chainlink or a game company or whatever, instead of, okay, your devs are going to need 2 months to do it, come on board. And, in most cases, you could do it in like an afternoon. It's pretty easy. And that gives us a nice advantage over a lot of other projects. ZKrollups are very hot, for instance, and ZK Tech's very interesting. We might one day adopt ZK Tech, but they have a little bit of what's called like a walled garden effect, where only a few gigabrains really know how to use ZK, whereas optimistic rollups are easier. So for the time being, it is the place to be to get it done quickly and cheaply.
We were going to ask, weren't you, Keegan? You were going to ask, what is the big difference between optimistic rollups and ZK rollups? So that is the...
I was, yeah. That's a really good point that a lot of people don't mention, that ZKs are way harder to do.
Well, and the thing is, I'm trying to say this as kindly and diplomatically as I can. A lot of the noise that you hear in this space has to do with whose mouth it's coming out of, right? There is a vested interest in some people in saying, you know what, ZKs are awesome and we're not even going to acknowledge ORs. Why? Because they have gigantic equity stakes in ZK. METIS does not take shots at other projects. Do we compete with other optimistic rollups like Optimism and Arbitrum? Yeah. Do we compete with sidechains like Polygon? Sure. Do we compete with ZKs? Sure. Do we think it's a big space where maybe we're a $10 billion project and you're 20 billion and everybody's super happy anyway and it's a nice playground and why not play nice with other people? That is also true. We do not crap on other projects. ZKs are wonderful. You like sidechains, go for it. It's all good. We're going to do our own thing. We don't need to put others down to feel good about ourselves.
Amazing.
That's a great message to have, yeah. I mean, honestly, because there's just, there are so many great sides to both. And I mean, yeah, you can do this all right now. You can just deploy stuff right now, which is really so much easier. We're going to be able to migrate to a couple cents, like Vitalik wanted the 5-cent fees. We're approaching it.
Absolutely.
It's no longer just this fancy, we're going to get to 5 cents someday. No, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing how fast the space has evolved. Like officially we launched 3 years ago. We actually just launched mainnet 3.5 months ago. And even in those 3.5 months, it seems like things have changed and the winds are blowing in a different way. And metaverse was maybe the hot thing in the fall, but then it's going to be this and then it's going to be that. It just constantly evolves. And, I did not come from the blockchain world. You couldn't pay me $1 billion to go back to boring old Web 2. It's way too slow, not innovative enough. Everybody needs to have a prayer seance in order to decide if they're going to change the water in the water cooler. Forget that nonsense, man. Nobody has time for any of that stuff. Let's go faster. Let's innovate faster, and let's have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Whilst we're on the subject now between optimistic rollups and ZK rollups, what are the advantages of what you guys are doing with optimistic rollups compared to ZK? I know you mentioned that they're easier to use and more user-friendly, but what else?
Well, I would say that's probably the biggest difference. The other thing is that ZKs are, some of it is in a sense a concept. Like a lot of ZK technology has not been fully rolled out yet. Like we're ready to go right now. I think there's a big advantage to that. It is nice. So we started as a hard fork of Optimism. We've since gone on to build 10,000 different functionalities that are different than other ORs, but fundamentally by being in the same space as Optimism and Arbitrum, Boba was a fork as well, we can see what's happening on the landscape. That transparency also allows us to better execute. The things that other projects did well that have the same DNA as we did, I'm not going to say that we could copy it, but we could certainly be like, okay, well, that's cool, that could work. Whereas the things that they did wrong, you do not have to make those mistakes. If you're
bit of interference there on your microphone. Sorry,
I don't know if I can hear the.
No problem. Is it better now?
Better now.
Much better.
Okay, it was probably my hand on the microphone because I'm a stupid idiot, so I apologize for that. Anyway, so if you're an OR, you can kind of see what other ORs are doing, and that's great. Whereas if you're a ZK, it's so new with Starkware and ZK Sync and so forth. You're going into the deep end really, really quickly, which can be good. Experimentation can be good, but like we really care about our community. So let's say that we launch something and for whatever, or one of our partners did, and it wasn't working, or there was a backlog, or something was difficult. we don't have to expose them to that because we know what the pain points are already. With ZK, they can launch something and it ends up really backfiring. Like our biggest thing is we want our users to have fun, and hopefully we can flat out say make money, but that would be nice. And for our partners, we absolutely want them to become unicorns. Anything that gets in the way of that distresses us. So we really pride ourselves on just being barrierless. And I'm going to jump ahead to possibly the next question that you're going to ask, but I think it's relevant to this answer too. We are also building no-code middleware, and that's massive. What that basically means is right now we're EVM equivalent, which is easy. In a few months from now, you will be able to go onto our chain and basically migrate with zero blockchain coding required. What does that mean?
Wow.
It means that if you're a project, you send your dumbest intern, he runs by the screen, he goes boop, 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 and that's it. You're on chain. That's literally all you have to do. It requires no work, no effort. And here's the beauty part. If you're a blockchain company, you don't have to deploy your devs. But if you're a non-blockchain company, now that's really interesting because they don't have any coding experience. Yeah. We could get Samsung or Nike or McDonald's, whatever. You want cheeseburgers on the blockchain? Perfect. You could do it between 1:12 p.m. and 1:14 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's it. Cheeseburgers are on the blockchain.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
So there's lots of opportunities and possibilities, and I'm guessing you guys are only just starting to discover how many opportunities there are, and the fact that anyone can utilize this is a huge selling point, isn't it, for METIS? Is it METIS or METIS? Am I getting this wrong?
We had an ad campaign in the fall, last spring. There is a me in METIS. So there you go. It is a me. And by the way, it's named after, if you're wondering what the origin is, because it is a little funky, she is the Greek goddess of wisdom and prudence. Our CEO is a woman, which is really cool. We come out of crypto chicks. Yeah, so we definitely have that kind of vibe where our origins are a little bit different.
Yeah, I like it.
We'll still bro down with the best of them, no question about it, but it is very much a mixed kind of group, which we really like. A lot of different opinions that way.
There's also a rumor going around that Vitalik Buterin's mum is on the team. I think
it's not a rumor. She's a key part of our team. Her name is Natalia Amelin. She's lovely. She has 20 or 25 years of business experience. So as much as on social media, it might make people happy to think that we're doing it for the memes. We are not doing it for the memes. She is 100 times smarter than I am, worked for Pitney Bowes and some other powerhouse companies, and is the coordinator of a $100 million ecosystem DAC, which is the mechanism that we use to invest in other projects along with our VC partners. So she's executing gigantic deals every day. And yes, she also is Vitalik.
Kind of legendary.
We thought it was sort of a meme, didn't we? We didn't know whether to believe it or not. So it is true. She is on the team.
Yeah. Twitter was pretty vague about it. Like, I couldn't figure out if it was legit. That's incredible.
Yeah, she's great. Well, so she and Alina, our CEO, go back years and years. They've been friends. So one of our lead devs, or I guess you can call him our integration manager, his name is Pavel. I mean, he and Vitalik, sort of grew up together, right? There's very much a lot of family ties and all that going on. Here's what I would say, though. We're happy to acknowledge it, and that's all good. And other people can run with it as much as they want to. As far as we're concerned, our dev team is just awesome, and our products are really good. It is one piece of a very large puzzle. But yeah, have fun with it. Do whatever you want. Put the memes. Do the stuff. That's okay. We don't mind. As the CMO, how can I refuse a good meme, right?
So we know about you. We know about Vitalik Buterin's mum. You've mentioned the CEO. Who else is on the team? What else can you tell us about the people working on METIS right now?
Oh, yeah, some good origin stories. So you'll love our tech lead, our CTO. His name is Yuan. He comes from IBM. He comes from Hyperledger. He worked on that blockchain project. He started coding at age 6. He is a freaking beast. And I think when people are starting to get to know a project, a lot of it happens behind the scenes, like our devs, whatever. But Yuan hasn't really been unleashed on the public yet. And one of the things that we're doing this year is going to a lot of conferences. We were all over ETH Denver. A lot of people got to know us there. It's one of the biggest conferences in the world. We're going to Dubai soon. But there's a big conference, an Ethereum conference coming up in Amsterdam next month. And Yuan is giving, I don't know, a keynote or some speech. As soon as people watch this video, they're going to be like, I wholeheartedly reject Solana, Avalanche, BSC, Optimism, Arbitrum, Chronos, they're all trash. We're going to METIS. I'm telling you, this guy is so freaking smart and funny and innovative and just like gives no F's about however it is that everybody else does it. He's going to do it exactly his way. My God, you will be charmed and impressed by Yuan. He's wonderful.
Okay, I'm excited for this.
Yes.
Next month in Amsterdam, you said?
Yeah, next month in Amsterdam. And man, I hear there's fun things to do in Amsterdam too. You guys should just go. Never mind watch it. Just go.
Yeah, right. Hop on a plane. Why not?
Yeah,
Hop on a plane. Do the thing.
I'm thinking about that actually because I've not been to Amsterdam for a couple of years. I'm way overdue now, and there are some fun things to do over in Amsterdam. And if this guy's anywhere near as fun as you, then I'm definitely
I mean, look, that's impossible. Obviously, I'm the most fun person in the entire industry, but Yuan is a solid number 2.
Absolutely love it. Keegan, did you want to ask about?
Oh, I did have a question actually. So you mentioned the decentralized autonomous corporation or companies that you're working with.
Yes.
Can you go into those? Those are super interesting in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think it's a concept that doesn't get a lot of play, even for people who know METIS, because we haven't fully launched it yet. So the way it's called DAC. So if you know what a DAO is, right? A DAO is basically a structure for voting and governance, and people can vote on stuff. But actually, the concept of a DAC was first discussed 9 years ago by Vitalik, of course. Vitalik basically said, voting is interesting, but what if you could build actual businesses that exist on chain? In other words, instead of Chainlink or McDonald's exists in the real world, and then you can execute some transactions on chain, like everything occurs on chain. So think about how you run a company, right? You have Slack or some kind of messaging system. Okay, so that's baked into a DAC. You have enterprise software, CRM, ERP. We grab the best open source from that. We throw it into a DAC. You're hiring people. We throw it into a DAC. How do you pay your employees? That's in the DAC. And we set up these templates that allow people to form full businesses. So it can be a blockchain company. It could be a non-blockchain company. We mentioned that that's certainly possible. It could be you and 20 homeboys who want to trade NFTs with each other. That can be a DAC too. It's whatever it is that you want it to be. And we have templates up the wazoo. Anything that you can imagine. Yes, we could have all of Nike, or we could have Nike's flip-flop division from Sheboygan, Wisconsin that has 15 people that nobody knows about. It can be big. It can be small. It can scale. And our network is uniquely equipped to handle all of this. We are completely multi-chain, so we can honestly handle millions of people using METIS at the same time. That is the level of scalability that we will be able to accomplish going forward. And that no-code middleware is the way in the door. It's the idea that you will not need to do anything except the most very basic, looks like a Gmail page or a Tinder profile. It's super easy. You click it a couple times and that's the end of it. Then you're on chain. Then you form your business on chain. All transactions cost a few cents. By the way, we're the fastest network. I defy any network to be faster than METIS. It's faster than your web browser. And then you will never leave. All your assets will just stay on layer 2. You'll have no desire to go back to Ethereum, and that'll be the end of it. And we'll dominate the universe.
That's literally the goal. Get to layer 2 and never have to leave.
Yes, it is. No, and in all seriousness, we look at this as very much a space. Like, we do have ambitious ideas, but right now we're an Ethereum scaling solution. It could be that in the future, we're interacting with Polkadot or with Solana or whatever. Like that's all to the good. We believe that it's a big space, it's a big playground, and there's lots of room for success. And oftentimes we're going to end up sharing ideas with other projects. It could be collaborative stuff. So all of that is consistent with what we're trying to do.
Love that. It's all about working with each other rather than against each other in this space, in my opinion. You do sometimes see projects working against others. They don't get as far because people don't want to work with them, do they? With that sort of attitude.
I think that's right. Even when we're partnering, so in addition to being CMO, I'm the biz dev lead for the company. So we meet with partners and our potential partners. If we don't like them, it's kind of hard to work with them. Like, we might do it if the product really makes sense for our community, but it's really hard in that way. Like, we're Canadians, bro. Like, we were incapable of being mean to people, notwithstanding the recent nonsense with everything that's happened, which whatever. Yeah. But aside from that, Canadians tend to be friendly, and we just want to get along. Like, I think it doesn't have to be the way that Web 2 is. If you're Google, you're going after Facebook, and if you're Samsung, you're going after Apple or whatever. Healthy competition is good, but no need to undercut anybody. I really do believe
100%.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Competition is good, but there's no need to undercut.
Yeah. Keegan, you mentioned before about asking about stable protocols.
Oh, yeah.
Migrating over like Aave and Curve and down. Do you want to ask about that?
Yeah, so I was curious. You mentioned you're going to be able to do this one-click transfer. So that basically means we're going to get all of the original layer one protocols. Like, for example, we got AVE, Curve, CVX, Sushi, Uni. All of those can just easily press a few buttons and just wham, we're on Metis now.
Yes, that will happen. We will be recruiting some of those protocols to come to us before we reach that milestone because we haven't fully deployed our no-code protocol yet. So, for instance, we already have an Aave governance protocol or migration, whatever you call it, proposal already out. We issued it. We passed the snapshot stage. The next stage is we have to basically go to the Aave Whales house and give them muffin baskets and tell them how much we love them, and then integrate with Chainlink, which is going to happen imminently, probably in the next couple of weeks. Chainlink is on board. The whales love us. We bring Aave. Next step after that is we will be issuing a governance proposal to Uniswap so that it is on our roadmap as well. You know, it's not 100,000% guaranteed with these things, but we feel that the momentum of our network is very strong. We have a lot to offer. And yeah, our expectation is this way. And forever who we haven't picked up, Keegan, by then, 4 months from now, 6 months from now, we don't have Curve or Compound or whatever. Yes, integration, if they want it, will become really easy. And by that point, we'll probably be an even more successful protocol than we are on a network than we are right now.
Love it.
Good point. Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good move going early.
Yeah, well, 100%. And, you know, I will say this. When we think about partnerships and even our DNA, we really, really do believe in empowering others. So if you look at some of the largest projects, and these are all successful and there's nothing wrong with them, but like Solana, Polygon, Arbitrum, they have so much VC money, man. You would not like hundreds of millions, if not billions. We raised $5 million and we even felt not guilty, but we're like, that's the extent of what we're going to do. That's it. Our last VC unlock takes place in 2 months. Then you will never see VCs around this project again. Zero. Half of our entire token supply is devoted to community mining and related activities over the next decade. The launches that we have on our network, IDOs, token launches, they're fair launches. We have no interest in the old model whatsoever. So even when we talk about protocols, if we think about types of projects, Curve and Compound are all great. But if you have a group of devs, young and hungry devs, and they come on and they fork Curve and they kick ass and they're just like committed to marketing and they partner with other protocols and it's all homegrown, let them make billions of dollars. I mean, you know, the founders already have all that money. I want to see future Keegans just absolutely killing it by coming up with their own ideas and executing. That's what we believe with METIS. We are layer 2 for the people. We're blockchain for the people.
Love it. Absolutely.
We're approaching that stage where people are going to be able to mass adopt blockchain without realizing they're using it.
That's it. And I think
that's the key.
And you're a little younger than I am, but like I was there when the internet really took off in the mid-90s, and there was just so much skepticism because it's like, I don't know what this is. I haven't seen it. And blockchain is exactly the same now. As it becomes kind of more, it'll just sort of happen around you. All of a sudden you'll wake up one morning, it's like, how can I not be on blockchain? How can I not be on the internet? How will I not have a Yahoo or AOL account? Of course I have to have one, you know.
Because it's just part of day-to-day life because everyone uses it.
That's exactly right.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned, Ben, that you were around during the .com boom and the tech boom. How does crypto and blockchain compare to that now? Can you take a lot from it and relate them both together?
Yeah, well, I think the thing that really resonates is the way that the powers that be are always resistant. So if you think about China, right? China bans crypto every other day. Oh, it's banned. Bro, we know it's banned. You've been telling us for 10 years that it's banned. We get it. Why are they banning it? Because it is a way for people to have financial autonomy and, in some sense, intellectual autonomy and so forth. Banks, you know, they started off being very, very against it until, of course, they realized, well, we don't have a choice. And now JP Morgan has God knows how many billions invested in Bitcoin and so on. So and the media is the other thing. You will see narratives emerge. Oh, NFTs are destroying the ozone layer. And wow, this is terrible what's happening with this thing or whatever. And for the most part, it's nonsense and it's FUD or whatever. Same stuff happened with the internet. It's going to turn our kids into zombies. It's going to make this bad and that bad. Everything has good and bad. It's not to say that blockchain is 100% good, but it's progress. It is societal and technological progress.
Yeah.
And here's the most important thing that I'll say. The three of us, I don't know you guys, but I'm going to guess that you are able to at least pay your bills and stuff like that. I know I can. The global South and broadly the world, there are billions of people who are paycheck to paycheck or much worse, like actually living in poverty, unbanked, have no access to money or loans or the traditional financial system. That's what it's for. It's not for rich white dudes. It is honestly for people around the world who do not have access to these institutions. If you can get unbanked people to be able to have a way to get in, look at Lebanon, their currency devalued by 90%. Well, gee, hold Bitcoin. Look at Afghanistan, their society collapsed. Well, gee, hold Bitcoin. What do you think is happening in Russia right now with the ruble going to hell? They're going into Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is, and it's one example. Bitcoin, Ethereum, pick your favorite currency. The point is, things are changing and the dynamic is changing. And this is going to empower people who don't have as many options as the three of us do. That's the point.
Yep.
Love it. Love it.
It's going to change the globe, really.
100%.
Yeah. I think we're seeing a lot of that, a lot of exposure now to Bitcoin and crypto through the war. A lot of people thought that the price would have tanked, but there's actually statistics showing that during global crisis and time of war, the markets do have a sharp sell-off, but then recover and then start to rally. And it's happened exactly the same again with the Russian-Ukrainian war. But the adoption is there. People are. It's all other currencies are corrupt, are being used politically. I won't delve too much into the politics side of things.
Well, I agree with you for the record.
Yeah, I think we'll skip that.
That was what crypto was invented for. Permissionless money. So
That's
that, you know, a government can't tell you, no, you can't spend it. 100%. Instead of, you know, I saw a really good tweet the other day, and this is a little off topic, but using a bank is giving someone else your money and asking to use it later. Yes. Being in crypto is having your money and everyone else has to ask you to have it.
Love it.
You know, it's just a totally different dynamic, and it changes the possibilities for, like you said, the rest of the world that doesn't have the opportunities that we three do.
If you have $1,000 in crypto, you can be the bank. You lend it out to somebody else and you're getting 5 or 10 or 20% yields. At the bank, you're giving it to them and you're getting 0.1% if you're lucky. I mean, it's
bank's taking it,
And that's just the financial aspect. Do you know how many 16-year-old gamers in Indonesia are going to be empowered by blockchain? Do you have any idea what GameFi means? It's going to be massive. All of a sudden, you can make income by being a gamer. You could build metaverses. There's so many things we haven't even thought of yet. The global supply chain is completely broken, as we've seen during COVID. What do you think solves that? It's blockchain too. There's going to be massive uses that go so far beyond, oh, wow, did my Luna bag go up today or not? Like so many. Yeah,
100%.
It's going to start settling real world transactions.
100%.
So, we've got 6 minutes left to finish this off. You mentioned before your roadmap. What news and announcements can people look forward to from METIS in 2022? Blow us away. 5 minutes, blow us away.
Sure. So the biggest thing probably coming up is a few things. First of all, we have an NFT bridge coming. So the idea that you could bridge tokens is one thing. The idea that you could bridge NFTs from wherever to wherever is really exciting. That's about 2 weeks away. 4 weeks away is our storage layer. So this has two purposes. Number one is when you have NFTs, this whole idea of not your keys, not your coins, whatever, that can be problematic when it comes to NFTs. Here you can actually store them physically on chain and do it cheaply. That's wonderful. That will have the double effect of creating an extra layer of scaling, which takes transactions from, again, I said a couple bucks. So it'll be, I don't know exactly, but something like 25, 30 cents by the end of this month for an actual Ethereum rollup as opposed to a sidechain. That is stupid cheap because we're still maintaining the security and decentralization of Ethereum, which some networks and sidechains don't necessarily do. And we're not sacrificing on anything else and still keeping it cheap. So that's a big one. One thing I'm really, really excited about, and we have a whole decentralization roadmap. By the way, follow us on Twitter at METISDAO, which is METISDAO. You'll be able to see all this. In Q3 of this year, all of our tech infrastructure will be governed by our community, 100% of it. To turn over governance of a project to the community is something that people hypothetically talk about, we will actually be doing it. We'll still build. It's not like we're all piecing out to Bora Bora or anything like that. We're just forming a foundation on the side, and we're going to continue to pump out the tech, and I'll say whatever it is that I say for a living as well, but the community will get to make all the decisions. So that's really exciting as well. And then in terms of products and protocols, I mentioned Aave's coming, Chainlink shortly, so that'll open the door to a lot of things. We're going after Uniswap. Yep, we're going after the no-code integration will be done. The DAC infrastructure will be done. Partnerships up the wazoo. Everything. We listed on KuCoin, I don't know, 6 hours ago. You can actually
That's right.
Today.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. You did. I saw the announcements for that, and I was like scratching my head. They listed on KuCoin? That was today. That was today, wasn't it?
It was literally today. I'm sure Binance and whatever will follow. We don't, honestly, it's, that matters a lot to our traders. And of course, we want the token to go up, but we just sort of let stuff like that take care of itself. We focus on building, and we let the price and we let the listings and we let the other stuff happen. It's funny as the CMO to want to build hype and never mention the token. Like that's kind of what my bosses are like. They say, don't ever talk about price or investing or whatever. Just talk about what it is that we're building. And I think that's exciting enough. So that's what we're doing, and that's our roadmap. They're
the kind of projects that we want to talk about, aren't they, Keegan? The kind of
I think they are. I think that's
like
the best way to go about it is talk about what you're building. The growth will come just from new users coming in. You don't need to focus on that all day, every day. You can just look at what you're building and say, are people coming in? Yeah, a lot of them.
It's like, how long can you physically focus on the price for? Like, there's only so long you can look at a price for until you actually need to start understanding what a project's doing and following them, getting involved in the community, and then going with what they're actually doing. And it's really interesting actually to be part of a project that's actually building something real. It's special, isn't it?
It definitely is, and it's different than what it used to be. I think if you guys have been around the space a while, you know that like in 2017, it was Bitcoin, Ethereum, and vaporware, basically. You know, there wasn't anything there. It's really exciting to be in this kind of environment that's different. And the other thing about focusing on building is it doesn't matter what the market conditions are. If Bitcoin goes to 12, we will continue to build. Like yes, it would be painful, but it doesn't make a difference in terms of how we operate. Not 12,000, literally 12. We just continue to go and do our thing, and that's it. And people talk about one term that I like in this industry is comfy. I'm comfy with this project. Comfy basically means that, like we IDO'd last year at 5. We went to 320. Then we went down to like 80, and now we're at, 170. Right? A person who's really understands the tech is going to be comfy going from 5 to 320 to 80 to 170. All that stuff is transitory, and by the way, has nothing to do with us. It's related to Vladimir Putin or the Fed or whatever. We never change our approach. That's how you get comfy. And I'm not only saying that for METIS. If you believe strongly in Luna or Avalanche or Sandbox or whatever, that's great too. It's about recognizing what they're building, and the price will just take care of itself over time.
Yep.
So the price of METIS is actually down then about 50-60% from its initial price.
No, our initial price was $5. Our all-time high was $3.20. We are definitely not down 50% from our initial.
I was gonna say, I was like
listed at like $5.
We were listed at $5.
Right, yeah. I was gonna say, I was scratching my head. I was like, no, it can't be right. That's fairly interesting.
Funny enough, I like the way that you said, like, if you just focus on the fundamentals and just go long term with that, the price will take care of itself. I had a similar view when I first, and ironically, I was not here in 2017. I did not see all that. I've only been here since 2020, and so ETH was the first one that I was able to hop onto, and I had that vibe of this has great fundamentals. It's going to work. The price will take care of itself. And this is just the same thing to me as ETH, but just, better. It's just the second layer that we should hop onto. That stuff will take care of itself as more people use it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. I think that's right. My first real investment was probably ETH also, and it was pretty much at the same time. It was about 2020. I'm not a long-term guy, and you could kind of see what's being built. And yeah, it does create that level of comfort, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jonas, really appreciate you coming on today. We've learned loads about METIS, and hope to talk to you again. Maybe we can get you back on the TGH podcast in a few months to find out what you've been doing since we spoke today.
Oh, it's my pleasure to do that. And you know, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on and talk about METIS, but I'm happy to talk to you guys about fundamentals in the industry in general, what we're seeing, what the layer 2 landscape looks like. Like by then we'll probably be further on down the road in terms of GameFi.
Nice.
We can talk in general terms too. Of course, I'm happy to promote our own project, but I do like general discussion too. I know you guys do a really good job of that on your show, and you can call me anytime. It's a real pleasure.
Thank you, Jonah. It's been a massive pleasure. See you soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Fellas.